Alrighty, g'day. Welcome to the CREEDCAST. You get an extra episode this week because the AFLW women are starting this Sunday, 3:40 p.m. down at Alberton Oval. It's incredible to have that back. Footy at Alberton Oval, AFL footy at Alberton Oval. I always hit that all the time, and it's a wonderful thing that we have the top echelon competition in the country of this wonderful sport we love playing at Alberton Oval, and it's a great Port Adelaide side representing us down there. Jamie, good evening to you. Before we get into everything AFLW and our Port Adelaide side for this weekend and going forward, how are you feeling about AFLW being back? I'm excited. Are you excited?
Hello to you and hello to everyone tuning in for this special AFLW preview. I'm excited. Of course, I'm excited.
I know it was like a
I've been
rhetorical
excited
question.
even since our preliminary final loss last year.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, all seemed in context at the time. North Melbourne went on to win the premiership,
Yeah.
and we forecasted forward then at potentially how good of a side it would look for us heading into season 2025. And while there is a couple of injuries to some key players, the side still looks pretty good to me. So I'm hoping that we can have a similar run like we did last year with some more experience into some of our more talented representatives.
Yes, yeah. No, it would be wonderful if we'd go into this year with kind of have a run at finals again. I guess it's a good place to start before we get into the side and some of the excitement that we have in this sport is a very, very strong lineup, but despite the injuries going into round one against Fremantle. We do obviously have a weird fixture in the AFLW in the fact that we only play 12 games in the regular season. It is weighted based on how you've performed the previous year. I had a quick look. We play of the teams that finished in the top eight alongside us last year, which is wonderful. We play five top eight sides from last year in this fixture that we have, including starting with Fremantle finished just above us. I think in Fremantle finished in fifth last year. We finished in sixth. They
Yeah.
were 8-3 last year. We were 7-4. We had a reasonable hit out against them. I think it was the day after the Hawthorn final for the men's last year because I remember being at Alberton nursing a significant hangover. And it was kind of weird, windy, blustery, slightly rainy conditions, cold. And Freo kind of just got on top late in the game, actually. I think we did lead a fair bit of that one. So it is a
We
different
did.
season. Obviously, list changes happen, but they're a side that were very, very close to us in the ladder last year. So a good way to start this year. We played North Melbourne in round two in a week and a half. So they're obviously the premiers who they didn't lose a game last year. So or they lost one, I think, or did they draw one? I think
They
drew.
drew
They
one.
drew one.
I
So they
think it was
haven't.
against Geelong.
Yes, that's right. So I don't think they've lost since 2023 then. So that's a big test for us, but that's a wonderful one to look forward to where you kind of go in thinking probably lose, but yeah, if we can bridge that gap from that prelim last year, that would be a good start if we can get the win over Freo, which we'll talk about that game a little bit more in depth in a moment. I just wanted to run through the fixture. And then we have Gold Coast round three, West Coast round four, Melbourne round five, Geelong round six, St Kilda round seven, uh, Bulldogs round eight. I think none of those teams finished in the top half in their finals last year. So then it's not again until round nine when we play Brisbane, who won the premiership 2 years ago and were played in the grand final against North Melbourne last year. Then we play Hawthorn. Then we play Adelaide in the showdown at Norwood Oval this year. Obviously, being just one showdown in the AFLW, that's their home showdown this year. Get around that 7 o'clock on a Friday night, 24th of October. Then we finish off the season against GWS, who didn't play finals last year. So it's a split of five reasonable teams based on last year's form versus seven teams that finished below us on the ladder last year. So a good balance, I think, to seeing where we are. And I
Hmm.
temper expectations for this year because we are still a very young side developing. There's a few things I got out of watching their preseason matches that still like they need to work on some of their efficiency going inside 50 and whatnot, and compared to some other teams you see that have started locking that down a bit more. But how are you feeling about that fixture, just looking at that, the way it's looking, and the possibilities ahead for us in 2025?
Yeah, so obviously the old adage is that if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best.
Mm.
And I think we've um, been lumped with some more challenging sides. But you mentioned there's seven in the fixture that finished in the bottom eight or bottom. 10.
Yes, bottom 10. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And as you mentioned, we were 7-4 last year and finished in sixth. So that's where we should be aiming at a
Mm.
minimum this year to go 7-4 again. Is now the new expectation, I would have thought,
Yeah.
even with five against last year's top eight and the rest from outside. Um, and I think we're up to it. Things can change in interesting ways in the AFLW. Obviously, with drafting, excuse me, young players who've had now the pathway for a very long time. We're obviously in season 10 of the AFLW,
Hmm.
and every side in the competition gets an injection of talented youth. Players obviously move around a bit. So teams who, particularly more in Melbourne, I guess you could say, but teams who finish lower last season could potentially rise with some acquisitions. Now, I'm not fully up to date with the movings and shakings of the AFLW at large. But what I do know is that the Port Adelaide side is very settled, very young, like you said, but very talented. So
Mm.
I'm very excited. Very, very, very poor English on my behalf. I'm overusing that word. Um, but I am looking forward to what they display on a week-to-week basis. And if they do clean up some of those opportunities for improvement that we identified last year, predominantly marking and yeah, some of that transition work or transition into the forward line, then mm, it's a tantalizing prospect what we could provide to the competition.
Hmm. It really is, yeah. And like I said, we've got plenty of talent in this side, and just really looking forward to seeing how another year of development goes. A lot of players that are in there. A couple. Obviously, we've got we can start with that. We've got a first year debutant coming into the side this week in Jasmine Soden, who was
But
kind of speaks to the way that the talent pathways and how things are working with the draft and how new everything is still, because she's a pick 52, I think a third or fourth pick in last year's draft. But she's the one coming in straight away. Probably must have impressed in preseason. She's a girlhood Port Adelaide fan, which is wonderful as well. And making her debut in round one of her very first season in the system, number 32. So look out for her. Named at half in the half forward line alongside our captain in Juzzy, MULES-ROBINSON, and obviously the barometer, Gemma Houghton. Looking forward to talking about her again this year because I love talking about Gemma any
fuck
chance I
yeah.
can. But yeah, Jasmine Soden coming in, and so we immediately, despite this side having good balance of a lot of youth and then some good veteran presence around it, we're immediately injecting some youth in there, and then we've got a injury replacement player, and Kobe Morgan's been named on the bench as well. So yeah, there's a lot to love about how this side, how it's been named, and yeah, really cool to see a Port Adelaide fan making a debut for the club as well.
Yeah, played for the Gippsland Power. So yeah, just ticking all the boxes in regards to the power
Yes.
and love forthwith. But yeah, I'm just thinking Shanae Goody 2024. I'm hoping that, yeah, these young girls are almost ready-made players in a way. She's
Mm.
obviously been listed on a half forward line, but if she can have any where near the impact that Shanae had last year, or Piper Window grew into the season very, very well, finished the season fantastically well
Mm.
last year, and unfortunately rules herself out of Rising Star eligibility for this season. Because yeah, like I said, finished the season very well. We
Mm.
obviously had Molly Brooksby, who was a first year player last year, which now that I said that out loud, it seems ridiculous because of how well she performed in
Yeah.
our team setup. So
She settled very
I
quickly.
look forward. She did, yeah, good Northeaster Golden Grove girl, which I love. Uh, so Jasmine Soden, I'm looking forward to what she can provide. You mentioned Kobe Morgan on the extended bench. There's also Chloe Gaunt
Mm.
and Lily Patterson, one of our draftees as well. I believe she
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah, she is actually. I don't know
So
what.
that'll get trimmed down, obviously,
Mm.
to five.
Yeah.
But I think there may be another debutant. And I think we've chatted off air about her, and that's Chloe Gaunt because um, after Matilda Schultz, Chloe Gaunt's actually our tallest player on the
Hmm.
list. And as we know, Olivia Levicki retired from Australian rules football and went back to the NBL1 competition. So, and
Fucking
she was
beasted
getting
down there, by the
she
way.
yeah, she had a great season
Yeah.
too. So making good life choices after the fantastic ride that she had with the team last
Mm.
year going to preliminary final. But obviously she got some minutes being able to be a backup ruck and being a backup ruck to Matilda Schultz is interesting because Schultz actually spends a lot of time on the ground. She has a great tank for her size,
Mm.
but you do it, history would say that you do need a backup still. And with Gaunt having height on her side, and again, young player coming up through a pathway, she could be a good look in to start on the bench for us on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think when I talked about it, talked about going to the AFLW practice match on, I think it was on the Patreon show last week, possibly. She was one that really impressed because in that last practice match we played, Schultz essentially got sat down at halftime and put on ice for the season upcoming, obviously, and Gaunt essentially took a lot of the ruck duties in the second half, and actually you didn't see much loss as far as our ability to get some ball around the contest and clearance work and the good tap work, and she was competitive and yeah, I think because they've only, I guess Jasmine Soden's the only one guaranteed to start is why we've only seen that one named on the Instagram. I assume is how that's worked. So yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully we can see yeah another debutante at least because yeah, I was looking as I was saying that about Soden before. I was like, Patterson's a new one. Yeah, there's a few. So yeah, hopefully we'll see another couple of debutantes announced once the squad's trimmed and finalised. But to your point, I think Gaunt is a likelihood big based on the fact that she can take the ruck duties and allows Schultz her flexibility to go down forward and maybe take another mark of the year, that kind of stuff. Who knows?
well, yeah, and I know, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Hopefully, I'm not in the um Bob bar. See, I'm not seeing Bob about a beer. Watching it on the TV, which is a surreal kind of moment to be involved, is when you're watching it on TV and knowing that it's outside the venue that you're currently purchasing
You can kind of hear that
beveraginos
muffled
at.
roar. Yeah.
And then I do the kind of crab walk run with the beers in my hand, trying not to spill them, but trying to get outside as quickly as possible, which we've all done at some stage in our life.
Very impressive effort by you
But I
not
know,
getting got back.
yeah, I got to see her kick the goal, which
Yeah.
was another dopamine booster. But back to Chloe Gaunt, I know that she has been spending a lot of time with Gemma Houghton
Hmm.
since being drafted, and if your role model or your mentor is the barometer, then you're probably going to go all right. I think.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to. I hope she does get a crack because I've been looking forward to seeing her play for a long while now. During their preseason, off season as well.
Yeah.
Um, so young players, they bring the excitement.
Absolutely. Um, Now, I will preface this, but before we go into quickly looking at, we'll look at the lines, but we don't have much. Obviously, as Jamie and I are Port Adelaide fans and gotten into AFLW more so once Port Adelaide have come in. While I'm slowly getting more used to different names and other teams. I just don't have the in-depth knowledge of the Fremantle team to be able to talk about the matchups too much. If you do, by the way, Jamie, feel free to let me know. But I just don't have the in-depth knowledge. There's a few names I see there. I'm like, yeah, I know who they are. I know who they are, but I just don't have the knowledge of how they play well enough and how they match up. So going through the lines, we'll probably predominantly just talk about how excited we are to see each of these players play, more or less. But and the strengths of these lines of ours. Our back line to start with. I wanted to touch on, I mean, obviously lined up with Emily Borg and Indy Tahoe named and at the fullback spots, and then Sachi Syme, Tegan Jermack, great. She's an injury replacement player from last year. who's kept her spot through just an incredible first year for Port Adelaide last year. She was really great. So she's in the
Fantastic.
halfback line alongside Sachi Syme and Molly Brooksby. I wanted to start with Indy Tahoe, who's essentially missed a year and a half of football because she got injured in 2023 with an ACL, missed last year as well. She looked incredible in the final practice match. 5 or 6 marks, contested marks, really strong running, clean disposal with the ball. Doesn't look like she's missed a lick of footy, which is incredible. Really excited to see her line up. And then otherwise, that's a really strong lineup of players. Obviously, you've touched on Molly Brooksby already, a second-year player now. Sachi Syme's reasonably young. Tegan Jermack, I think we talked about it last year and how even our injury replacement recruiting kind of seemed to line up with the youth movement. Like Emily Borg, like they're all very, very young and very, very talented. It's an incredible lineup that we've got put together, and Indy Tahoe coming back and really strengthening it with some seniority and clean hands and clean marking is a real strong back line. It'll be the disposal coming out of the back line, but some of those players are improving hand over fist with that as the years go on. So I'm really excited to see how this back line comes together this year. Anything? Sorry, I keep rattling on just because but yeah, your thoughts on the back line. And how excited are you for your Indy Tahoe to be back? Because I'm fucking stoked.
I'm pumped, yeah, because she was actually building some nice form before she did her ACL. So to hear that in the trial matches and some of the open training stuff, to hear that she's tracking quite well and looking quite strong is promising because Emily Borg took a huge step up last year, and if she's going to bed down being one of the best defensive key position players in the AFLW, then having 2 strong presences in the back line is a huge asset.
Hearts. That's anyway. Sorry.
We stick together. Yeah. Emily, yeah, I fucking love that song. No, but having a 1-2 punch of some strong key position defenders. You mentioned Tahu's marking ability. I'm really looking forward to Emily Borg and who she shuts down this year. Tegan Jermack, obviously with the run, Syme, Brooksby, provide that kind of link up, which is exciting. We mentioned before that Ella Heads, who's been listed on a wing on the team sheet, but she'll probably rotate back. She's provided some nice marking, which was definitely a room for improvement last season.
She was I was really impressed with her in my first in-person view of Ella at the practice match against Collingwood a couple of weeks ago. I was really, really impressed with how she moved and her kind of her calmness with the ball and how her confidence in her own ability to get to the contest and facilitate within the contest and like you said, take the mark I was really impressed with Heads to your point. So to have her named further up the field, but with her defensive ability, it kind of gives that there's that flexibility. We're starting to get that flexibility.
Strengthens it even further for sure.
Yeah.
And that's still without mentioning one of our favourites from the CREEDCAST favourite players. That's the human wrecking ball in Ebony O'Day. We know that she'll give 110% effort.
Yeah.
Couple of standout games last season from a defensive point of view and a body on the line point of view pretty much every game. One of the more senior representatives, so important to remain keep the balance, should I say. I can't wait for her to attack her first ball because we know that she won't take a backward step. That's why we love Ebony O'Day and she's a bit eccentric too, which is awesome.
Yeah. Don't challenge her at a Rubik's Cube challenge. She will beat you. Those will be long odds for anyone that's going to play her. Let's just call back to the other episode we recorded tonight. Get around the Patreon. I'm so excited to see this backline link up. Like to your point about Borg as well, just to finish up there, she as much as Tahoe impressed me in the fact that she's coming back from injury and we hadn't seen her for a while. Emily Borg was just looked again at almost another level in preseason from we've seen her grow at leaps and bounds, so it's not surprising, but she's still she's 2021. She's still got so much growth to go, but she looks so because she's been thrown into the system from the start, she's like that's really benefited for her. And she was both her one-on-one ability was far better than I remember. Like obviously, look, I think back to first year and like you saw the green shoots, but now she's starting to really like. You'd see maybe 70. You should get to 60-70% of contests as a and win them in that first season maybe. And there was like it felt like she was rarely losing a contest. It was sometimes just the fact that maybe she didn't get enough help around it in that Collingwood match at times when the ball came to ground. But she was winning contest, and sometimes there was a few that went over the back where Collingwood were almost out for a goal, but she kept, and she's got such good pace in her as a key defender. She was able to get back and just stop the play. She was just getting her hand in there and stopping the player from collecting the ball and kind of tap away and get to the boundary and end up in a stoppage or something like that. Versus what looked like 10, 15 seconds before, like, oh, this is going to be a Collingwood goal. She just used her pace to get there. And she just wasn't giving up in any contest. She chased out of the defensive 50 to effect some tackles on the halfback or into the wing. And then if the ball got out of that next stoppage, she was already sprinting back to make sure she was back for her con. So she looks fit. She looks ready for a variety of different ways to impact the play, both in the back line as a one-on-one defender as well as try to help out upfield as well. So, some really, really good signs. From that back line going into this season, and some incredible young talent down there that, as I keep saying, young talent, because that's the incredible thing is all these players probably have a fair bit of growth and development to come, which is what's so exciting about this side. Speaking of growth and development, obviously, looking just at that midfield, you've got Matilda Schultz, a third-year player, Piper Window, a second-year player. Maria Maloney's the experienced head in there, in the followers. Great to see Maloney. I said I kind of tried to keep some stats on a little notepad I took down to the practice match. She was one of the only players that attended 100% of centre bounces in that practice match. She was there for every one, regardless of the mix they utilised. So she seems to be. They seem to be really leaning on her and trusting her. And we were really impressed with her role last year. I think. Just to start there, just a quick point. Maloney has grown into an incredible player, reliable. Tough as nails.
She's tough,
and her cleanliness is, and I think as she's gotten the trust from the coaches, it's improved her overall game as well.
Yeah, I don't think she tries to overcomplicate things. And it was her that kicked it inside 50 for the Matilda Schultz mark last year as well, which is worth noting. So, again, hopefully those vibes are permeating through Alberton Oval on Sunday afternoon. But what's not to like about Maloney, really? Yeah, she does everything that you would want in a tough inside midfielder. And another senior representative, a veteran status, and she loses a bit of the limelight through Abby Dowrick playing so well in a similar type role. But one thing you can say about Maria Maloney is she's honest every week. She rocks up and does what she needs to do and plays her role.
Yeah.
And because it isn't as sexy as some other things, she tends to get skimmed over. But I'm pretty sure she gained regular votes from us last year.
Yeah. I have to actually look back at it. I should have put that in my notes, but I think she ended up in our top 10. I think as the season went on, she started really announcing herself, and we were, like I said, I think it was the consistency is what did it, and got her into the votes consistently. You mentioned,
absolutely.
Dowrick won our Player of the Year last year, which was in contrast to the Port Adelaide Festive Ferris, which went to Schultz. Understandably so. I have no problem with that, but just how our votes fell, Dowrick won. So again, she's looking like she's raring to go. And she didn't play the final practice match because it was just concussion protocols from the first one against the Crows. But she's fine and ready to go for this week and named on the side. Obviously, alongside Maloney, you've got like the tough nuts of Dowrick, who's both tough as nails as well as just a really clean clearance player as well. And she's improving. When you think about that first year in the draft, a couple of players that aren't there anymore that we thought might be the stars, and then you've got the likes of Dowrick that have come out of that inaugural year and been turned into the midfield star from that first draft.
She's a gun.
Yeah, she is.
She's a dead set gun.
absolutely. And I think she's still somehow underrated around the competition, well, around fans maybe. She just doesn't, yeah.
Mm.
And it's
She's
particularly,
unassuming.
yeah. And I think because our team's got so many other stars. I mean, Matilda Schultz is clearly a bona fide star in the AFLW at large, marketable, and obviously won some awards last year, and so it leaves the likes of the Dowricks and co like in that like under that limelight a little bit, but it works for us if they're getting a. The other one that I love and grew leaps and bounds last year and looked very, very ready for the season to start this year is Piper Window as well. She was cracking into some contests. She had a Collingwood player that tried to kind of front her a little bit in the practice match and kind of gave her a push and almost bounced off her. Like Window just must have some real good core strength because the player was like taller than her, but she just tried to push her and like it just bounced off her and Window kind of just gave a little lip and then ran away. She was busted. She was hitting. She was had some real nice inside work to clear the ball out and get some inside 50s. Obviously, the inside 50 work couldn't take a little bit of improvement, but she's a second-year player still. But her ability to win the ball in the inside and in the contest looked really, really good against Collingwood, and there's going to be a real strength for her and us as a side this year as well. Alongside, when you think about the fact she's playing alongside the likes of Dowrick and Maloney, and then Goody on the outside as well. There's a lot of talent that is really, really exciting there that I'm just really itching to see this midfield continue to develop. I'm really excited to see how they go. And I mean, Freo's a great test first up for them in a team that's in a similar spot. A really good start for this midfield will do great things for the season going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on Oppo Watch though, Mim Strom, who Matilda Schultz will be coming up against, will be one of the more challenging matchups that she'll have for the season. Mim Strom, I believe, was the All-Australian ruck last year, and if she wasn't, she would have been the second ruck. Just looking across their side, they've obviously got a few changes to theirs, but it is fairly similar to the one that we played at Alberton last season. But from a midfield point of view, I like how it's shaping up. Dowrick, Maloney, Window, Kirsty Lamb, who is on the bench. You've got that toughness, but then Goody, Dowrick is a bit of a hybrid because she's quick and tough. So you've got Dowrick and Goody. Ella Bogue to provide some run. Ella Heads is obviously listed on a wing, like we mentioned. So, I want to see Ash Woodland spending some time at centre bounce as well, because when we made that move more frequently last year, we actually gained a benefit from it because she's tough. She has good skills. She generally makes good decisions too. Excuse me. So, yeah, I'm really liking how our midfield shapes up. While it is young in essence, Shanae Goody showed on a lot of occasions last year that she could potentially start taking the piss with another preseason under her belt. She tried a few cheeky things last year and got caught a few times, but I think we discussed it'll only take a bit of experience for her to turn those minor mistakes, and she didn't make a lot to be fair. But turn those minor ones when she is trying to bite off a little bit too much in certain situations, she'll actually just perfect them. Keen to see how she goes in her second year. But with the AFLW, people seem to be improving in an upward trajectory more often than not. It's just the nature of how it's developing and flourishing. I look forward to her because I think where we can benefit most from her is her disposal. Because the AFLW across the board is a fairly low disposal efficiency game. We acknowledge that. It tends to be a little bit more contested, which is fine. But if we can transition it into our forward line well through the likes of Goody and co, like her, then that's going to give us another leg up, again, with the talent that we have in our forward line.
Yeah, I was just watching a touch of the Carlton Collingwood game earlier tonight, which Carlton won comfortably in the end. There were some really nice kicks out of halfback, and some of that transition play was like you can see teams improving, including there was a former player of ours, and Yasmin Dersma had some nice moments and some nice kicks, and sister of Matilda Schultz, Poppy Schultz, had a couple of nice kicks as well, and kicked her first goal. I was watching when that happened as well, so The league is improving. I mean, the scoring, it was quite an entertaining game. Again, as you said, it was a little bit more contested. Obviously, still some disposal efficiency is lower, but you could tell that there's some really nice, as the league keeps progressing and gets years down the track. You can just see the kicking, and because they're getting more consistent coaching across the years, and surprise, surprise, it helps. It helps improve players, particularly the ones that are coming into the system that are growing up with it more as well. You mentioned Woodland. She was, I can't remember, I don't think she got to any centre bounces, but there was a few moments where, like stoppages in the middle, that she did get to a few of them in that practice match, and you could tell there was a little bit of that happening. So that was probably the one thing I didn't get to see too much out of the forward line in that practice match, because we picked out Collingwood jumpers at regular intervals going inside 50. I think they had probably, it would have been 8 to 10 intercept marks inside, within 30 meters of goal. Like, we just blast the ball inside, and it just wouldn't, often uncontested as well. So that'll be probably my one watch going into the early part of the season, is just how well, because we had a decent amount of control around the middle, but we just kind of, the kicks inside 50 weren't quite connecting, and a bit of disconnect with where Houghton was leading, or where whether it be Houghton or Woodland. Teakle did play in that game. Unfortunately, that's probably the major news that's happened. I think I did touch on it at some point in last week, but Julia Teakle, who had a good year last year, she was injured for a part of last year as well, but she's out for the next 6 to 8 weeks with, I think, a stress fracture in her foot or something of that along those lines. So that's a big one that is missing, and will be sorely missed. I think she's again another young one that's grown leaps and bounds from when we first saw her start playing games in that first year through to now. Is like, she's improved incredibly. So, like, a lot more confident in her movement, her positioning, and we will miss her. But we've still got a very, very talented forward line. Obviously, Jasmine Soden coming in as an unknown quantity, but we've obviously got lots of raps on her. But Houghton and Woodland, we just need to help them. And that might be Woodland maybe doesn't get forward as much, but it depends what we do with Schultz and Gaunt and co in their rotation through the forward line / with the tools as well, with Teakle out. But
we did like to stretch defences last season, again with Levicki occupying forward time as well, along with Woodland and Houghton. So that excuse me, having a rough trot with my voice tonight. But Teakle and Wendland going out, 2 proven contributors on the scoreboard from last season. So we're going to have to cover their goals. We don't want to make it all too easy for opposition defences to shut out Houghton and Woodland and then leave us with too few to impact on the scoreboard. So the big number one, Justin Mules-Robinson, it's big time for her to contribute, set the standard as the ball transitions forward and we aim to score. Jasmine Stewart usually uses the ball well. She's not a big kick, but she tends to make good decisions and can hit up a target. So, and again, the differences with AFLW is, when you're getting it in and around 50, it's generally 2 possessions to score, rather than the men's game where it's, you can aim to score at around 50. So it's one thing to keep in mind, that we can still have someone playing a forward pocket or a half forward flank and utilize their ball use is what I'm getting at, because she can move up the field and she generally uses it pretty well.
I think
so. Hopefully we can score. Not too sure on Freo's back line. Just as a quick flick around, it looks like they've O'Driscoll, Laura Pugh, Ash Brazel are all the same.
O'Driscoll was an All-Australian last year as well for Freo. They had 3 All-Australians. You were right, obviously Mim Strong. The other one being Aisling McCarthy, who's, I do. Again, there's, like I said, I do, you look at, which McCarthy's been named on the interchange bench, I think. But, I'm sure. I think they've named, I'm not sure who they are, but I think in their extended squad at least, there's three debutants for them. So they're ring in the changes as far as some new draft picks as well. But yeah, they've got some reasonable talent through there. Obviously, three All Australians from a side that finished sixth last year is a reasonable return. So yeah, they've got some strength. Like Yara Powers is very, very good as well in the midfield, and yeah, there's some strong players in there. And to your point about the back line, yeah, we've got, it's probably the one line I look at for us. It's probably not that there's weaknesses there, but when it's probably the one line with Jasmine Stewart wasn't, as much as I love her her endeavour, she was one that was in and out of the side a little bit last year. She's not probably a locked-in 2021 player yet.
21?
Yeah. So, and then you got her first game, her first year in Jasmine Soden, alongside then the experience of Houghton, Mules-Robinson and Woodland. So it's probably the one line where we're probably like maybe a little bit weaker than we possibly expected. Again, I hope that if it's going to be the ball use coming in, that'll help them out a lot and will make them look a lot better. But it is probably the one spot that I was in that practice match. I was a little bit just where my concern was. I think we've got a lot more control with the improvement to the back line coming off half back through the middle with that talent. We've got a lot more control and can maybe get a little bit more possession and field position, but it's just going to be converting that to score, which, you know, if you're in the AFLW, if you can't get those inside 50s, and as you said, the two inside 50s almost sometimes, it can really, really restrict your ability to win games. So that'll be the watch. Again, I'm quite positive on how our chances can go this year, but that is probably the watch early season, especially with some tough matchups to start the season. There is just a...
It's where we'll need our assistance from the midfield
yes.
in relation to scoring. One interesting thing about last season, and it just goes to show once she got into the season in Matilda Schultz, is I know I definitely thought she started the season actually fairly slowly. I can't remember what your thoughts were on that. And then, yeah, she obviously went on a huge upward trajectory.
We talked about it at times. Like, we were just like, she had a bit
of... I think we did too.
Yeah. No, I definitely have that memory of just thinking she was a little bit, you know, after a very, very good first year that she just, you know, maybe just plotted into the season. Not that I intentionally plotting, that sounds a little bit, but she just, she just started slowly and maybe was just trying to get the pace of the game again. But yeah.
So hopefully how she finished puts her in good stead to how she starts this season and can really hit the ground running. Equally with Dowrick, we saw late last year, she found the ability to gain possession, but also impact on the scoreboard. I think in one of the finals or one of the late season games, she chipped in with 2 goals later once or twice. And that obviously really helps our overall score when we are getting involvement. I imagine Goody may even have more looks at it again with a bit more experience under her belt.
Decent kick on her as well. So if she can get into those positions, like she can utilize that kick. Yeah,
because I know that they train in the off season to try and attempt a better transition, to score more, get it in the area of, you know, our barometer and our scoring firepower, although impeded in this instance. So yeah, we will need the help of our midfield again to keep Freo's defense more accountable.
There is some interest. There is some decent talent named on the interchange bench. Obviously, the squad will be trimmed, but we've already mentioned Ebony Day, but we haven't even touched too much on the likes of Kirsty Lamb, wearing number 35 in honour of Chad Corns. Obviously, she's Port Adelaide royalty. Ella Bogue as well, who's came on and came on well last year and is going to be important this year again.
I bought my Ella Bogue stocks last year, so look forward to seeing her continue to rise.
Absolutely. She's really good, and she looked quite. She had some good efforts, some tough efforts in the practice match as well. So Ella Bogue looks ready for the season. Kirsty Lamb got injected into midfield in the second half of that practice match after not touching it much in the first half. I don't know if she was even on much in the first half, to be honest, from memory, but she really got into the contest and looked decent as well. Caitlin Pope, just a real like energizer, just twist the back of an energizer bunny and just throw her out into the field and see what happens. And she kind of had a little bit of that in the practice match as well. So and she had some good moments last year as well. So
generally uses the ball fairly well.
Yeah. She's sometimes limited opportunities. She was again one that was in and out. Probably got more consistent time as she grew into the side last year. But there's some some strong. I mean, like I touched on, Kirsty Lamb's an All-Australian a couple of years ago. I think leading goal kicker for the Western Bulldogs at one point and won a premiership with them. She's a very very good player. Is named her interchange bench, and she can play up forward a little bit as well, like add some body and some pressure forward. So there is some. We'll see how that interchange bench gets reduced, but as the squads are finalised. But there is a very, very good talent named on the bench as we go into this game. So, yeah, there's some flexibility in how that can work. Obviously, we already talked about the likes of possibility of the Gaunts and co as well. But, yeah, when you look at that, I mean, we talked about the forward line maybe being, but there is some, there's some swing, there's some little levers you can pull within game, I think, for Lauren Arnell, who, by the way, congratulations to Arnell for extending her contract through the end of 2026. So she's got, as of this moment, 2 seasons left on the current deal. So a little bit of trust in her to continue this great development she's had so far. But yeah, she's got some levers to pull on game day, possibly, with depending on how this bench shakes out, which I think, regardless of who ends up in the final squad, there's going to be a very, very strong bench to go into the game with.
I agree. Yeah, can't really add much more. It'll be good for our rotations. Yeah. Just who is likely to be there. Obviously, there's some four obvious members who will stay in the side. It's just who from that kind of second line on the interchange list will make up the 5th spot. And if it is gone, you've got a ruck forward, a couple of small defenders, a winger, and a mid forward as well. So there's good balance, and it'll mean that we hopefully, remain competitive for the 4 quarters because, like you mentioned off the top, we were ahead for most of the game last year and unfortunately went scoreless in the last quarter because there was that, you would know because you were there was that great headwind to one end, and we kind of tried to park the bus a little bit to our detriment in the end because Freo kicked 3 goals to gain the lead.
Yeah, we I think we threw Teakle back at the end, which actually she almost, I think I at one point tweeted during last year's Port Adelaide Freo game, like, we all dream of a team of Julia Teakles because she was doing it at both ends for a bit, but unfortunately it wasn't enough in the end. But so, I mean, the betting odds, I don't know how much money gets thrown in these games, to be honest, but on
Even Stevens
$1.90 a piece, so it just shows that, the bookies are at least looking at it like they're pretty closely matched teams, and maybe they're just looking at how the teams finished last year as well as the talent available. But I go into that. I'll just mention before I throw it to you to see how you're feeling. I go in with reasonable confidence. I'm not saying it's going to be a win for sure, but I go in with reasonable confidence based on how we went last year, and that we can maybe make a contest out of it. And hopefully, if we win, I wouldn't expect it to be a large one, but I'm hoping, regardless of it, that it's maybe within 10 points either way. I obviously hope we win, and honestly, if I was doing tipping, I'd just tip us to get some confidence in there. But if we can battle them and hopefully get them, it would be nice to hold home field for this year. Apart from Hawthorn later in the year, Freo are the only top 8 team from last year that we play at home, so we can win most of our home games, if not all. It would be a very, very good way to build a platform into the season and almost, get us a fair way towards playing finals footy again. I'm hoping maybe we can get away with a win by a goal or so against Freo in a tough but entertaining contest. Would be a nice way to start the season.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I see it as well. I'm hopeful of a win, and I think they'll give it a good crack. Like you said, if we can defend home, that'll hold us in good stead for a finals berth. Not sure how the wind will play down at Alfredton on Sunday, but hopefully it's not as strong and we get a bit more of an even contest across the 4 quarters in comparison to last year. But they'll give it a good shake. I just hope, some of those players who needed to kind of warm into the season last year hit the ground running, and that can change our fortunes immensely.
Yeah. A touch on the weather, just a quick, before we close off. A bit of rain around on the weekend too, so that could in Adelaide over the weekend. So Not a whole lot, but I mean, Adelaide's forecast for Sunday is 1 to 7 mil with 90% chance. So it's kind of a real real flexibility to that forecast, which I would want to be a weather forecaster, to be honest. So I can understand that, but almost guaranteed there'll be some rain around, but when that most likely in the morning and afternoon. So maybe by 3:40, if it is more morning, that we can maybe get away from the rain. But that probably means that there's going to be some moisture on the ground, and that might help bring it to a closer contest as well. We've just got to make sure we're on the right side of that, really. So, looking forward to being down there. Jamie and I will be there. I'm going to. My wife will be down there as well. So looking forward to that. If you're around there and you're listening to this, you want to say g'day, let us know. We'll keep an eye on the socials and get in touch on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I'll try to keep an eye on it. And if you're around and want to have a beer, I'm going to be staying in Port Adelaide over Saturday and Sunday night, so I'm definitely going to be indulging in some of the fine beverages that the western suburbs have to offer. Might be stout weather. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you down there. And
go see Bob about a beer.
Go see Bob about a beer. Hopefully when Matilda Schultz isn't taking Mark of the Year. Poet didn't know it.
Yeah, Dr. Zeus areas.
Yeah. Sam, I am. Shit, Matilda Schultz needs... I don't know where I was going with that. It's late. We should finish this up before I embarrass myself any further. Nothing more to say from me. Jamie, great to be talking AFLW with you again, and looking forward to continuing.
Yeah, renewed hope for PAFC again.
Absolutely.
It's been good to chat about it.
Absolutely. We look forward to chatting about it, and hopefully a lot of success coming these ladies' way in 2025 as the season goes on. But for now, nothing more to say from me. Can the pair. Can the fucking lady pair.
Go to the lady pairs.